Hey, what's up? I'm Hypesy. I play games, make games, and everything in between, and I'm back in Mexico City. We're making games with hypehype, a dope app that makes it easy to make and play games all in a single place. There's thousands of games. Today I will be using my fingers to recreate a Fall Guys type of game. I want to focus around certain nodes like wave, transform, and vector transform. And the best place to start, go to create, templates, and let's go ahead and select parkour. First thing I want to do is change the camera. I'm not down with this camera. There is a knob on the left that has a tab and you can edit this tab accordingly. This is the setup that I like. We have the logic on, the snapping grid, and the area pick, but the reset camera view and the set camera view are really helpful when trying to get that camera angle you want. And then the reset view is great because when you're in the midst of game development and you want to just jump back to where the camera is, you can hit that button and it'll take you straight there. I'm gonna move this up a little bit like this. It's good. And then we're gonna do set camera. And next I'm gonna move it back a little bit. There's a camera somewhere, so I'm gonna hit logic on, there it is. And I just wanna make sure that these angles are all perfect because if they're crooked a little bit, that just bugs me and it just takes a little bit of time to correct that. Let's just go ahead and make this 15, this to 0, and Z to 0, there. Next, let's go ahead and change the visual style of this by hitting the menu tab, environment, background and fog. Let's go into color 3, hit colors, make the ground kind of green, make the sky a little blue, and change the fog to a little bit blue, something like that. I'm gonna go into the fog values, move the end fog and the start fog all the way to the max. This makes it easier to create and design the level without fog being in your way. Hopefully I go back and move this back to like something around say 42 when we're finished, but if I don't, I'll do it later on my phone when I'm out and about. I believe this player has health. We're gonna change the player health to 1 because it won't be a big factor in this game. Go ahead and test. Okay, looks good. Next, let's move the player up and I wanna get this block. This block is a tile set. Let's go ahead and change the colors a little bit. I'm a fan of blue, so I'm trying to make this a little bit more blue. We wanna add another visual color. Let's copy this one, select, and then let's make it a little bit lighter. And then we can select here, blue copy, yeah. And here we have a checkpoint. We're not gonna be using checkpoints in this game, so I'm gonna delete it. Let's go ahead and grab a cute looking character. This dude's kind of basic. There's things you can do to this character like add a hat, gold chains, and a beard, all kinds of stuff. But there's a bunch of cute animals in hypehype. Hypehype gives you lots of assets that you can just use. They're very well polished. There's a bunch of ultra cute animals. This one, I think I want to use Aku. Simple duck. Let's go to the visuals, light yellow. I'm gonna hit that light yellow, hit copy, and go to the original and see if I can't change his look a little bit more. Now we got this guy. We'll move him to the end because he does some cool stuff at the finish line. Let's make sure that the duck moves just fine. The duck is looking good. One thing I noticed is that camera angle, I didn't like it that much, so let's hit reset view and we can move this up a little bit and like that. I'm looking to make sure I can see off into the distance. Let's go hit set. I like that setup. Next thing we want to do is we want to get some assets into here. So let's go to visuals, type in platform. This game is a 3-dimensional platformer. We can see there's a lot of cool objects. Let's grab some of these pattern tiles. Next, I'm going to type in platform was the word I was looking for. When searching in the asset library, pay attention and try to remember what words are used for the hashtags. It'll help you search for items in the future. Here, I'm going to want simple platform. Grab one of these. Let's grab a simple floor. This object also looks cool. And I'm looking for a cylinder as well. Let's get one of these long rounded cylinders. There's always new assets coming into hypehype all the time. It's good to just do a quick scan. Lots of plants and stuff, so that might be good to use. Maybe even use a bridge. Yeah, let's use a bridge too. But we gotta change the color. Always good to try to have a consistent color theme. Actually, I kinda wanna make the ground like lava. Go ahead and move this bridge. Grab these assets that we're not using right now and go ahead and move them to the side. All right, so we're gonna need this checkpoint. Let's grab it and move it further back. I like this bridge a lot, so let's see what else they have. Regular basic bridge. Okay, so this looks like a beginning. And we could do something like this. We got bridge, regular bridge, and move this down on the ground. I will add a tile set. This will be kind of like the lava ground. If the player touches this, it'll be a game over, or probably just reset the player back to the starting point. I'm gonna move everything to 0, X coordinate, just to line things up. I like it when things are lined up. It makes it easier to organize in the future. Go to this advanced, we'll give this an object, orange, and then we'll select into the player and do add a collision trigger and a game end. Then hit the gray collision trigger with group orange, select the character, make sure he's highlighted green, and do game end, execute. Now let's go to that game end and hit restart automatically. So, and there we go. If the player falls in, that's the game over. Next thing I notice is when the player is walking on the bridge, they're kind of halfway in the bridge, which means that the collision shape around the bridge and these objects that we just pulled isn't 100%. That's probably because I don't have it unmovable object. Yeah, the bridge just didn't have physics. These are small mistakes that happen. That's why it's really good to play test. Now we can see that the duck is actually on, and yeah, looking good. Let's move this over and have this object, and let's check the size. Let's double the size. And let's change the colors to the blue. Blue and orange are really good complementary colors. You'll see this a lot in movie posters where one side is blue and the other side is orange. The human eye is drawn to these color conflicts, so they just help make things look better. I want it so that the player has to jump on these blocks to get across the lava. I can make these objects one at a time, or I could create a reusable object, which is what I'm gonna do right now. And then with the new feature in hypehype that I always forget because they're updating every day, you can just drag and drop it once it's completed. First thing we want to make sure is the player has an object color. Let's go to advanced, and his object color is gray and green. You'll see this a lot in hypehype, with green being primarily for the player and red being for like a game over. We're using orange in this game, but it's something you'll notice when messing around in hypehype. First thing we want to do is go to logic, grab a container, open up the container, select reusable. There's also add-on, which is something that you can make a mechanic of some sorts and then take that and place it onto separate objects, basically adding it on to this object. But what we're doing is kind of the opposite. We're having a container, making it a reusable, creating the object in the reusable container, and then we can take that object and put it into the game. Just go like this, and now it's in there, and you can see that cool little icon. So let's select it, and then we hit show so we can see the icon. We want to make this a unmovable object, and then we're going to add a collision trigger for the character, green. Be sure to deselect the gray because we just want this for the character, and sometimes gray is used as a universal object group. We don't need to do that for today. We're gonna want simple animation. Let's try to swing wide. We just want it to move a little bit, then add a vector transform and a destroy. Now all this is inside the object. You can also have these nodes outside the object. There's so many different cool ways you can do things in hypehype, which just makes it really easy and can be complex to just have everything intertwine and work. So there is no right or wrong way to do it. For me, if you can get it to work, boom, that's huge. Take that to the bank all day. On collision, if the player hits this box, we want it to the simple animation to activate. So that's what we did right there. Next, we want, if the player collides with this cube, we want the vector transform to execute. Now what does a vector transform do? Let's go into it, and here we can have the target, and we need to select it like this. Oftentimes I forget to do this little piece. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. Just kind of always depends. Here we want to scale, and I want the duration to be about 1 second. In 1 second, the scale will go from current size to small. And then on the end of that, the object will get destroyed. Now that that's complete, let's go ahead, select the reusable container, hit duplicate. Oh wait, this is how I would usually do it, but because there's new features, there's different ways to do it nowadays. You go to hierarchy, you can see it right there. So we just go and select it, and now we have it. Notice the green outline on the box. That means it's a reusable object. And the cool thing is we can move it and we can select multiple ones. So let's give it a shot. Notice it's rotating already, which is not what we wanted. We wanted to rotate after it comes in contact with the player. Let's go ahead and select. Let's take a look at the collision with the trigger group grease, simple animation. Oh, you know what? The simple animation is just automatically enabled, so we need to turn that off. And I think I want to hover instead. Let's see, it should hover after we land on it. Okay, so it didn't really. But you can see that it's getting smaller. Let's try to swing Y. Okay. It's looking good. I would say it's happening a little bit too fast. Let's go to vector transform and add just another second to the duration. And from here, select the lava, basic, and paint. Time to use the fingers, go like this. And now we can select these objects. And if you just want to duplicate it from here, you can just hit the duplicate button. Let's make some of these bigger, give it more of a distance the player has to go through. When making a game, I like to make my games easy because even when I make them easy, they're still kind of difficult. If your goal is to make super difficult games, that's a fun element in its own. Let's duplicate here, make this one a little bit bigger, this, and let's go ahead and give it a shot. So some of these that are too low, cool, that was great. Let me hit play. I'm gonna move this screen sideways, take a thumbnail, and we're gonna save it. Let's call this Fall Dudes 2. Edit the categories. We got parkour, platformer, animation, looking good. Next, we got the time for the leaderboard and the lowest number. Let's go ahead and save it as a draft. Let's make another reusable object. The best thing about making reusable objects is you can grab them from any hype and then put them into a future hype. You can also hit the remix button to use this game as a foundation or a template to build your future games. There's so many different ways you can build in hypehype, all by using your fingers. Let's go ahead and grab another container, open it, select reusable, go ahead and drop this in there, and I want to also add this one. Okay, and also add that in there. Then we hit show. Let's go ahead and move this to 0. And as you can see, I'm organizing my X and Y. Duplicate this also, kind of like that. That looks good. Let's stretch this a little bit less, maybe 2.25, 2. I think you can see what I'm trying to make here. And we're gonna take this and glue it to here. And then this, we need to change the physics. I've done this twice. I forget to add the physics. That's okay. This is why I always say to play test, because when you play test your game, you can see where you forgot to do some of the basic things like add kinematic physics. If you're not sure the difference between kinematic and dynamic, Google it, YouTube it with gamedev, and it'll help explain the movement behind how these objects operate and the physics in this world. So this physics, this object unmovable, and physics kinematic. This one also, did I set to kinematic? Oh, it's set to default, okay. And then this is also unmovable physics. This one can be static. And the reason you want to go between kinematic, static, and dynamic, important in terms of the processing power. You don't want lag when a player is playing your game. So let's go ahead. Now this object will have a vector transform. Let's also add some random elements to it. Random is cool because it allows more of a dynamic gameplay. We're gonna have this loop. Whenever you're looping an object using vector transform, make sure the duration is set to 0. We're gonna do rotate, wanting this bar to move around like this. I'm not really sure which X, Y, or Z because the original direction of the object was standing up up and down, and we moved it sideways. The X, Y usually refers to the original unless it's attached to an object, which actually this one is. I just mess around with the numbers and see what works. Start with this one with 5 or 4. Vector transform on start. And we'll mess with the random in a moment. Well, we can just do -5 and +5. We'll connect those in a little bit. Yeah, this looks good. So let's go to this object and we can see it on to the right. It's right there now. After the player reaches, now where is it? I don't see it. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so it's not here. Did I put them into the object? Maybe I did not. Maybe I forgot to do that. Go here, hide. That's definitely what I forgot to do. Let's go to the hierarchy. In order to get it to show, you select it, you hit edit. And so let me go ahead and select this object. And I think we need to detach. There we go. And then like that. And now we can attach that back to there. Let's go ahead and move this like this. And now if we take a look, we can see that looks good to go. And okay, I think 4 is a little bit fast. So let's go in here. We're gonna change this to -3 and +3. This is not in effect yet, but Y is what we want. Let's go ahead and make this 0. We can select random, on random value, and on random value per link. We're gonna go on random value per link because I think that makes a difference. Vector transform, a vector Y, that makes a different Y value for each object. And we're gonna have a multiple of these. That is set up. We can go over here, area pick, select these guys and move it back. And we can select this, duplicate it, make this one bigger, move it over there, duplicate it, make this one smaller, move it over here, duplicate it. You see how easy this is? Like it does take time to learn how to adjust everything. Once you figure it out, you can do it in any type of game. Let's go test it. And it's not moving. I did not turn on the random node. That's what it was. That was a test. I did that on purpose because it's a good example. Now it's on. I also noticed that all these cubes, when you jump on them, they all spin in the same direction, which we can add a random node to make sure that doesn't happen. And here, look, although it looks like it needs to be a little bit lower. And look, we can see how the ones in the background get affected. That's pretty cool. So I want to add a random component to those cubes so that they rotate multiple directions. It also looks like if you wanted to, you could just be on the edge. So let's make this 2.25. That way it definitely knocks you off. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. I know of a mechanic Yelp did, another creator in hypehype, where he had the object shake, and I'm not sure how he did it. So I'm gonna go take a look right now, grab that object and put it into my game. One of the cool things you can do, and this is why it's really cool to watch hypehype live streams and go into the games and see how they're made, because if you see something that you like, you can go ahead and take it or hit the remix button and recreate a similar type of game. Let me show you what I'm thinking. These cubes, when I jump on it, you can see that it wiggles. I want that wiggle. Hit the remix button, and so we just scroll over here, and here we can see the mechanic, the advanced simple animation, swing Z, 25.05. If I wanted to copy it, I could take this object and copy it. When I go to the builder, select falling ice, hit edit, select this piece, and we can hit copy, objects copied, and exit. Go to our profile, hit edit, turn logic on, and hit paste. And now we can have that object in our game. But what I really wanted was just that math, Z 25.05. So that's what we're gonna do here. Simple animation, swing Z 25, magnitude, clear 0.05. Let's get rid of that random. Let's see how it looks. Oh, perfect. Cool, so now let's save it. Playtesting your game is a must. If you're not having fun playtesting your game, then that's just a good opportunity to figure out what you can do to make your game a little bit better. I feel like these columns are a little bit too low, so let's just go ahead, do this. I like looking in the background and move it a little bit up. And it's easy when you see it in action. There's one last thing I wanted to do, which is transform with the wave generator. So let's grab this box, make it bigger. Change this object physics to unmovable. I could make a reusable, but This is just going to be a platform that the player can walk on. Go ahead and grab this and move it back. This is the finish line. That is our goal. And in fact, I want to add something. I do this a lot when I'm making games. I'll just jump from one thing to another thing to another thing. And when you're making the game, you can do whatever you want. I like these kinds of finish lines. I've been making hyper casual games for years. This is what you see in most mobile games. It helps signify to the player visually that they are real close to the end, and we got some homies waiting for them to help celebrate. Save it. I like to save all the time. Hypehype overall is really good when it comes to saving. Got this object. Go ahead and make it bigger. It's already pretty big. Okay, so maybe change the color because this is gonna be kind of like an obstacle. Yeah, that should be fine. Go ahead, grab a container. We're gonna make this a reusable as well. Hit it, show, physics unmovable, kinematic, and what we said we want to use a wave generator and a transform. Instead of putting the transform in the object like I've done with the rest of the reusables, I'm going to put it outside, and that's because of the direction that the object will be moving, will be left and right. If we put the transform in the object, it can only go up or down. Here we can select rotate and do something like this. We want the wave generator to loop 3, and on the wave generator, loop in. Select the execute on loop end. I think we want amount. I get confused on transform and wave generators. Let me save it. I have an example hype that I use to help refresh my memory on how things work. And it's okay to forget how things work. Here, hit edit, logic on. We can see, here's an example of one moving back and forth. The red one, so we select the red, got wave generator, duration in and out, and then we got the transform, use calculated value. Okay, go in here, select these two objects, hit copy, exit, go into our draft, hit edit. Let's just go in and paste. And here we can see the errors. Okay, so I think target, set that to target. Okay, great. Okay, there we go. I think that's what we have over here. Here I was trying to connect from on loop end when I should have just been using a value output. So if we take this, go over here, and let's go ahead and just move it into the beginning, grab it here, grab this object, move it here. It should be moving to the left. Okay, moving to the right. Maybe that's the other left. Either way, it looks good. Let's make sure it's kinematic. It is. Yeah, I want to go here. Now I'm trying to think if there's a way I can change the end value. Random 0 or 1, either or, on output goes into the switch. Takes the value. If it's 0, execute 1, case 1, end value -8. This case 2, end value +8. That I think should work. Let's try 5. Okay, we'll recap. We have on random value 0 or 1. 0 or 1. If it's 0, goes into the switch, then the wave generator will have a -5, moving it, I think, to the right. If it's 1, then the wave generator end value will be 5, moving it the other direction. So that's great. That's what we want. And now we can go ahead and move this to the end. Go ahead and make it a little bit small. Oop, not that small. And we can put it here. And move it up, and we can duplicate this. Now let's play test. I'm gonna add the lava in a little bit, but here we can see let's check it again because I want to make sure. Okay, yeah, see how they're all moving differently? So that's good. I do think they could be moving a little bit further, so let's just go to the object here and go to the switch, and we'll make this value of 8, and this also a value of 8. Well, -8 and then 8. Duration in and out. Let's do 2 seconds, make it a little bit faster. Let's take a look. I don't even know if you'll be able to actually succeed, so let's... Well, there's a trick, you just jump on tap. Okay, so actually maybe we should I want to go here and add a new edit 2, okay, and in case here, end value 0. That way it just doesn't move. 33% that it doesn't move. Okay, so it's not bad. I'm gonna duplicate this object and then just glue this one on top. Let's make it thinner. Something like, see how that looks over here. So these did not change, which is surprising. Let me go over here and select this. Okay, so we can see the difference between this object and these objects. Let's go ahead and select all these. Delete. Grab this one, a little bit thinner. All right, let's take a look. Okay, it's doing as we want. I would then make it so it's accessible to walk across the platform. Let's give it a try. Okay, so I think we need to mess with the probability again here. Edit, integer switch, either one or two. Okay, this looks great. Random, minimum 0 to maximum 2. On the switch, it'll take the 0 or the 1. So I like that. That looks good. The last thing we need to do is just add some more lava. Okay, we'll have to move up those objects for sure. And we are done with Fall Dudes 2. Let's check it out. I messed up. One thing I also want to check is to hit play and look at it in portrait mode, as this is how most people will be playing the game. I just like creating in landscape, but yeah, so we look good. Go ahead, save it. I'm gonna publish it later. That's making a Fall Guy type 3D platformer in hypehype. That was lots of fun. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. And if there's anything you'd like to see, let me know. Until next time, I'm Hypesy. Stay safe out there and peace. All right, so let's stop it. I hope this saves.